Patezima, Jamani. Hi. I'm sorry, this is just tech issues. I don't know what happened with my phone. Welcome to the Beacon of Hope show. Today we'll have Chandra Pitts from One Village Alliance. As you come in, tag your friends, share this video. So I'm going to wait while people show up. This song is Wema by Mercy Masika. I do not own the rights to this song. Umenitenda wema. Give this to your dad so you can share. Welcome. Welcome. Good morning. My name is Faith Mora and I'm here with the Beacon of Hope show. Today we will be interviewing Miss Chandra Pitts. And before she comes on board, I will go ahead and read this quote by Barack Obama that I believe epitomizes who she is in the community that I live in and epitomizes the work that she does on a day-to-day basis. The quote goes as so. Hope is not blind optimism. Hope is not blind optimism. It's not ignoring the enormity of the task ahead or the roadblocks that stand in our path. It's not sitting on the sidelines or shirking from a fight. Hope is that thing inside of us that insists that despite all evidence to the contrary, that something better awaits us if we have the courage to reach for it and to work for it and to fight for it. Hope is the belief that destiny will not be written for us, but by us, by the men and women who are not content to settle for the world as it is, who have the courage to remake the world as it should be. What powerful words from Barack Obama. I really miss our previous president, Barack Obama. As we wait for Chandra Pitts, I'm waiting for Chandra Pitts. Just a quick intro in terms of who she is. She is one of the people that serves here in the community in Delaware. She is a powerhouse. She's a woman who is of brilliance, intelligence, drive, and purpose. And I really wanted us to have a conversation with her about how she views hope in the world and how she carries out her charter, her mission in this world. So I'm here to let me see if I can add her to the broadcast. I don't think she's on yet. I know, Kareem, it's round 2 and I'm waiting for Chandra Pitts to come on board. And I'm also going, please share the video as we wait for her to come on board. Chandra, when you log in, just say something so I know you are on camera and I'll go ahead and I'll invite you. But meanwhile, the Beacon of Hope show is here as a part of the Hope Hub. Yes, hi Kareem Pitts. Are you related to Miss Pitts? Yeah, so the Beacon of Hope show. Oh, yay! Let me go and see if I can add this lady. I'm actually now on my husband's phone and requests to be on your broadcast. Okay. Are you able to add, Chandra, can you request to be added to the broadcast? It's saying I should be able to. Maybe it's something with Facebook today. Request to be. Okay, see you. Add. I think it should work. It's saying it's adding you, Chandra. I'm crossing my fingers. So as Facebook does its magic, oh, there you are, looking like sunshine.
I'm out in the beautiful sun this morning. How are you? Good morning.
Good morning. I'm good. I'm good. I think, let me see if it's my volume,
Is it
but
my
if you could
time?
just, I can't hear you too well.
Good morning. Good morning. It's Chandra. I'm here
Okay.
basting in the sun on this beautiful Saturday, and I'm so honored to be here. Thank you, Faith, for inviting me.
You're welcome. You're welcome, Chandra. I think we need to hear you louder. You're sounding real low, though I know you have a really low, sweet voice.
How's this? I feel like I'm speaking up. So is this
You
okay?
think so?
Is that
Okay,
okay?
can you
Everyone
guys
hear?
hear her, Kareem? You can hear her? Okay, okay, so
Yeah.
maybe it's on my end. Okay. Awesome, awesome, awesome. So I was just kind of telling them a little bit about who you are to me, or who I believe you are in the community. I read a quote by Barack Obama that talks about hope not being empty hope, but hope that is grounded in action, and hope that is about, standing in your truth and doing something about the obstacles and the issues that you see in the community. And I believe that's who you are. You're a person that believes that in this culture we should be folks who are inspired, who are equipped, and who can mobilize as citizens to make a change in the community, to be the change that we want to see in the community. So let me start off by asking my first question, which is for you to introduce yourself to the Hope Hub. But before I go any further, I do want to let you know that the Hope Hub community, as it is right now, it's bits and pieces of who I am, which is an immigrant woman, a person who is in the diaspora, in the African diaspora. So I have a lot of people who are Kenyan women in the United States, or African women who are here in the United States, but I also have some people who are in Africa, because that's where I'm from, and then also some people here in the United States like yourself who I have met. So when we have this discussion, let's have it more from that perspective of a global audience.
Okay, so first, I just want to thank you for all of that. Thank you for your beautiful introduction. And I want to say good morning to you and to the world because, I too have a global presence and I'm really honored and so grateful. God is so good. And,
Mhm.
I just want to, honor everyone who's taken time to watch your live broadcasts and you for sharing the wonderful things that men and women and young people are doing all over the world. So, and I have to say good morning to my brother Kareem. I'm so excited. He invited me to breakfast this morning, and
Oh,
such a wonderful invitation. So I have to. We're postponing breakfast, but Kareem, you owe me breakfast. And then good morning to Sean, who's tuning in from Baltimore. So I have a broad village that's all over the local area. My brother's joining us from New Jersey, and also
oh,
so I just a little bit about me. I am the founder and CEO of One Village Alliance, an education and social impact agency here, and our work is really around justice and
mm-hmm.
activism, local, nationally, and globally. I'll be really so I'm a first generation Mexican American, and my mom is hopefully tuned in from Hawaii. So we grew up with a great sense of cultural pride, and along with that comes pride in being a part of a global humanity who all bring a wealth of knowledge and resources and culture and food throughout the diaspora. So I am so excited to be here and excited about my journeys. Talked about some listeners in your audience from Kenya. I'll be traveling to Ghana and Kenya, which will be my first time on the continent. This
Wow.
June, Girls Can Do Anything is going global and Raising Kings. So I'm really excited to be leading that work.
That's wonderful. I'm going to have to give you some places that I believe you should visit in Kenya that will just make it that much more harder for you to leave.
Absolutely. I love it. I love it. This sunshine this morning is amazing. We had
It's
rain yesterday. The rain is beautiful. We got sun today, and apparently Tuesday it's supposed to be snow again. So I love it all, but I'm enjoying the sun this morning.
I love the sun, and I can say the winter time I hibernate. And so when you don't see me in the community at Girls Can Do Anything, that's my excuse. I'm like, I'm African. I don't go out in the cold.
See,
So all right, I wanted us to, first of all, I know you introduced yourself saying you're a first generation Mexican
yes,
immigrant.
yes.
But I know you have some roots to Jamaica. Were you born in Jamaica, or what is this whole? I know we do the Marley Festival, and you have a really close connection to the Marley family. Were you guys originally from Jamaica?
No, my mom is came and my mom's family from Leon, Guanajuato in Mexico. And my dad is African American. And, where his roots trace to is a rich and wealthy country, I'm sure. But not knowing, where exactly those roots trace to. My father's African American. He was great friends. I'm in Wilmington, Delaware right now today. And it was here that my father met Bob Marley, and they became great friends, and we all grew up, together. No matter where they were, my dad would always take us to, stay connected with the Marley family. And we traveled to Jamaica for the first time in 1981 when Bob Marley passed away.
Oh,
And,
wow.
you know, that's how Jamaica and many Jamaicans came a part of our extended family, through the connection with Robert Nesta Marley and his music, and Ziggy and Steve and the whole family. So I've spent a
Wow.
significant amount of time in Jamaica, more so as a young adult. I was there over a period of 2 years, and
Okay.
worked with Sedella Marley Booker, and was educating children there who couldn't afford to go to school, and teaching them how to read. And my education and community activism led me there to 9 Mile, Jamaica, up in the hills, working with the children and families there. And it's continued
Okay.
through my work
That's
here.
wonderful. I am so grateful, first of all, that every summer we get to experience that concert, and just the fact that you're always bringing such rich culture to Wilmington, things that usually we're not used to seeing throughout the seasons here in Delaware. So I really appreciate the reggae and the because that's part of my heritage as well, is the reggae music, and having that right here like 5 minutes away. I always appreciate the work that your family does to bring that production to town every summer. So let's talk about One Village Alliance, because I know that that was my intention, to focus on Hope for the Village and the work that you're doing with One Village Alliance.
Yeah.
I would love for you to tell the audience a little bit about the genesis of One Village Alliance, how you started that baby, what was the impetus for starting it, and why that work is so important.
I'm one of these people who's been very blessed to be connected to my passion. Ever since I was a little girl, I always wanted to make life better for other children. Based on my own personal experiences, I hated school. I had, there were challenges for me within my home and my family. I'm one of eight, and my mom and dad. So with 10 of us growing up together, you learn and grow, and also need outlets. So based on that, and really fueled by my experiences at school, understanding how public education can make very brilliant young minds feel like failures with this big red F syndrome. I wanted to really, and our kids are failing at a really high rate,
Yeah.
according to the mass perception. But the reality of it is, that the public education and many other systems are failing our children by strategic design. So a lot of people think that these systems are actually failing, when I affirm that they're succeeding to do exactly what they are designed to do in our communities. And we have to create countercultures and design innovative programs just as effective in countering what our children are facing every day. So in a town like Salem, where we have 3 centers. So One Village Alliance has 3 centers in New Jersey and one here in Delaware. And we also do work throughout the region. But in that
Okay.
area alone, there's about 87% of fourth graders are not meeting the standard. So in literacy, and only about 11% of kids are meeting the standards in math. So we've
Wow.
got in the 80 and 90 percentile of kids who are being made to feel like they're not smart enough for basic third and fourth grade English language arts and math. And we want to really give kids the potential and tell them of their true greatness and really help them to grow into that greatness. So we want to change
Wow.
the story that our children are hearing about themselves, that our families are hearing about our people, and that our communities are really in mass numbers believing. We want to grow our children, youth, and families into their true greatness.
Wow. Wow. Did you always know that this would be what would be your path, your purpose is to work with children specifically around these issues? Is that something, do you feel that you're in alignment with your life purpose as you do this work?
Absolutely. And I'm very cognizant of that blessing that I've always had a very laser focus on what my life's work was going to be.
Okay.
Incorporating the arts and my love for children. And, when I was young, a little girl, one of my heroes, the most prominent person who stood out to me that I wanted to be like was Malcolm X. So not just having an impact in the lives of youth, but calling for radical change through
Yeah,
voice and my presence in the community and my activism. So
that's
this
awesome.
is this is my I
That's
am living my
amazing.
life's dream.
Wonderful. I think I had mentioned to you I wanted to focus on the two things that in my perception, in my view, that are part of the work that you do, the crucial themes that you focus on, which are community, number one, and number two, which is hope. So first, let's talk about community, starting with One Village Alliance. I remember, I don't know if you recall this, but there was a time I don't know when we had this conversation, but you were talking to me about One Village Alliance and what you see it as, and you said, well, I see it as a place where people within the community can bring their own programs, gifts, and talents, and kind of use the One Village model to leverage whatever it is that they want to solve in the community. So you really see it as an open space that's welcoming, that people can, like myself, can bring an idea and say, hey, Chandra, let's partner on this thing that I want to work on in the community. And then through the One Village Alliance model, you help push it out and solve problems. Is that still how you see One Village Alliance?
Absolutely, and I'm glad you bring that up. By design, in my nature, One Village Alliance in its title is defined by name, one collective, one village alliance, meaning a unified community of genuine partnerships. Um,
Okay.
so yes, and we were founded and we work with the assertion that it truly does take a whole village to raise a child, raise a family, and raise a community. And while I bring the capacity to start and begin to build this foundation, through a 501c3 nonprofit organization, the programs and the individual models that have been erected from that foundation include Girls Can Do Anything, which is global activism to redefine womanhood and what it means to be a girl. It's Raising Kings, which is about changing society's prominent image and expectations for our men and boys of color. It's
Right.
Suitable Men, which is a phenomenal fatherhood initiative that engaged 290 men in its first year. So there's a
Mm-hmm.
great need,
Yeah.
and we want to meet those needs by filling the gaps and bridging the empty spaces, because a lot of people are focused on just children and mentoring and kind of after school programs. So but there's a lot of, a lot is not reaching our children. It's not working. It's been going on for decades and decades and decades. So I really want to engage those thought leaders like yourself, or like, maybe a high school or college student, or some of the individuals who are in our community that maybe don't have the capacity of having their own 501c3 nonprofit. And what a lot of people don't realize is I don't own One Village Alliance. I led the development of it, but this is a community-based
Okay.
organization. It is a CBO. And we've worked for the last 7, 8 years since we were founded in 2010 was our very first program year, to
Mm-hmm.
build a solid, not just a solid foundation where we're fiscally responsible and we are known for high impact work, but also a sound reputation as an organization of that people can now bring new ideas to, and have a very fertile ground to cultivate those new ideas on the foundation of One Village Alliance. So yes,
Okay.
we make that available for other programs and initiatives. And we have amazing space. We have a 4-story um, village center
Yeah.
in the heart of the city of Wilmington. And we have 3 community centers um, in Salem, New Jersey, Salem County. And we have other great spaces, that include Chester and, Delaware and the southernmost part of New Jersey. Girls Can Do Anything is growing to Dover, Delaware. And again, we're taking this model globally. So we're not restricted in what we can do through this foundation. And the more, the better.
Yes. Yes. And that leads to my other question is, when I look at living here in the United States, I know that independence is celebrated. I come from a culture where we're very communal. That whole idea of Ubuntu and talking about the we, and always Harambe is a term that we use. When I wanted to come to the United States, I knew that it was possible because I knew my community would rally around me as a child of that village and
Yeah.
help me get to the United States and pay for my education, or at least the first semester of my education. And so there's that feeling that you're part of a broader community and that community supports you.
Right.
So given this village model, do you feel have you had a hard time, given the society that you're putting this village model in terms of taking this idea, the collective, and harnessing this idea, or at least kind of the messaging behind it? Do you have a hard time getting people to be part of that vision, that communal village vision?
Okay. That was a lot, Faith.
It's
So,
a long question.
yeah. But, there's so much work we have to do as a community.
Yes.
Being a woman of color, a Hispanic woman who's a Black woman, and a young person in this community, but also, I've been here sometimes, so having other younger leaders, I want to say that our children, we have the unique ability to really bring in children to our programming. And when we do something in the community, it's packed. We have a great reach. And we're humble and we understand why that is. Our approach is collaborative. But I think, there's some leaders out here who think that maybe this is about Chandra, or Chandra thinks this is about Chandra. And it's painful, but I just have to laugh at it, because Hope, like you and I have been collaborating for a very long time. Sharice Monique with Ram Squad with the girls. Anyone who is doing anything positive, we are together. We are one. I've worked with grown men in this city, and it is that my experiences have been very interesting working with people. But one thing, the reason I can laugh at it, and I gotta let that go instantly, it's nothing that I lose sleep over, because God is so great. I mean, I get hundreds literally of messages every week about of people and their positive energy and love, just encouraging me to keep going. You know, we're approaching our 10th year
Wow.
in the city of Wilmington, and I've never worked in a city like Wilmington. It's much different than even, you know, right across the bridge in New Jersey. Just the energy of other people who could be really strong thought leaders and partners and collaborators.
Yeah.
I've worked with some phenomenal people in this city. So all of our success is done through the fact that, yes, people are willing to collaborate in the genuine spirit of serving this community. And we could not have gotten here without it. We've taken Raising Kings in the last 6 years from a conference that we did, you know, on Martin Luther King Day inside of Ferris, where youth are incarcerated, to
Okay.
growing it into a full day event at PS DuPont Middle School with people like Mark Holodick and Darrell Green saying, yes, we not only want to collaborate, we want to lead with you. And these brothers have led, you know, white, black, Hispanic. I'm talking about cross cultures. We've grown that thing from a 1 day event where we've got 200 or 300 boys to a full 7 powerful event over 7 days to Raising Kings Week in just 6 years with 1,300 registrants this past January.
Wow.
And I mean, we had 17 partner agencies on that thing, and it has grown throughout those years. You know, so that's the kind of power. And one thing I want to remind these community people who are trying to do work and have been trying to do this work for years, and feel some type of way about whatever the ego and the personality and
Yeah.
jealousy and the money, whatever money you think there is. The best we can ever be individually is strong.
Yes.
We can only be powerful together. We can only be powerful together.
Yeah.
And that's what we're working towards. It takes collective power and a really strong unified base in order to get to beyond a great event, fun programs for kids, a nice pizza party. We're trying to get to the place of transformation, changing our community right here in cities like Wilmington, Delaware, and Salem, New Jersey,
Yeah.
not for the purpose of making two communities better, but by using, you know, Wilmington is a microcosm of everything that every major city around this country anyway, you know,
Yeah.
Chicago, Philadelphia, LA. The difference with Wilmington, Delaware is if we would just get beyond our egos and our fears and our personal feelings about each other, we
Hmm.
could wrap our hands around Wilmington. It's the teeniest city I've probably ever visited. And
Wow.
we could use the work that we're doing in the city of Wilmington to change the world. Have it recognized not as a murder capital of the world or the
Hmm.
nation, but as a model, a center for model programming that transformed a city that can then be brought to scale and implemented in places like Chicago, Philadelphia, you know, Oakland. So that's what we
Okay.
can do with the power of our collective voice.
Wow. And I think you're doing that very successfully. And also, especially, I can see it starting to emerge within the children that you're working with, you know, the Jasmines, the Sophia. Sophia Andrews will be one of my guests on the Hope Hub actually a month from now. And her work globally with Ngoma in Kenya. I'm already starting to see that in the girls that you're working with. The program Girls Can Do Anything is just transforming our girls. I want you to speak a little bit about what hopes are you trying, or maybe what situations of hopelessness are our girls facing in our communities, and what strength are you trying to cultivate within them to overcome those obstacles?
Can I focus on hopefulness? I want to skip the hopelessness and focus on the hopefulness. You
Okay.
wanna, okay, so my baby niece Jasmine, it starts with her and even younger. So Jasmine's tuning. Good morning, Jasmine. Aunt Chandra loves
Yes.
you.
Yeah.
and my beautiful, amazing mentee, Sophia. That is my girl.
Yes.
So, and when I go to Africa in June, I'll be visiting the work that she's doing in Kenya. So we'll both be in Africa on the same time, at the same time.
Yes.
So I'm really excited about it. And, you know, there's a lot that is facing our youth as a whole, our world as a whole. And
Mm-hmm.
the focus of hope that I want to give is that, you know, people say, you know, there's a lot. I found out as a young teenager when I got the opportunity to start my work under the mentorship of my mom, of course, who was the first activist
Yes.
that I ever knew.
Yeah.
And, you know, we were doing a lot of work with the Mexican community, not just the kids. You know, mentoring and children sound great and precious, and everyone wants to be involved. But when we talk about fathers like my brother Kareem and, you know, Abraham and Isaac, they're great fathers. You know, the family piece is vital. We have to, there's a world that's telling our children that they're going to end up one of two places by the time they're 25, our boys. And it's telling our girls, you know, these are the things that girls have to do and these are the things that girls can't do.
Yeah.
The problem with that is our children believe
Mm-hmm.
what we tell them.
Yeah.
And more importantly, the images that they see have the greatest, you know, psychology teaches us that the images that we see are the single greatest factor that shape our lives and the people who we become. So
Yeah.
as adults, as fathers, my most important work is around fatherhood and
Mm.
family strengthening, because men, you know, my brothers show their kids what entrepreneurship looks like, what being your own boss looks like, what wealth building looks like, you know. And we have to show our children those things. We have to be that beacon of hope in the lives of our children more
Yeah.
than just what we tell them. But even if we can't get there, we have to tell our children girls can do anything. Young boys, you are kings, not in the sense of
Mm-hmm.
royalty who you've never seen, but in the sense of people like Dr. Martin Luther King, that you have that capacity to not just, you know, be a great person, but do great things, make your life remarkable, and talk about those things. Instead of punishing our kids by beating them or smacking them, I would tell my son, go upstairs and, you know, if he did something hurtful, write how you're going to help the world. Think about that as a 5 or 6 year old. And most times we
Yeah.
don't even prompt our children to think about the greatness that they have within them. You know, if they did something or said something, go really think about that and just write about what that means to you.
Oh.
You know, read one paragraph of this book. You know, one of my favorite books is by a Mexican author, Don Miguel Ruiz, and it's the Four Agreements. You know, be impeccable with your word. You know, be honest, be truthful. Just instituting those ideas. And you don't have to be, you know, the challenge with our families and how families in large part think about education is we're tuned out either because we were raised through those same failing school systems and we don't have the literacy and math competency that, you know, can be helpful to our kids. And even if you were great in school, you know, 10 years or 15 years ago, math has the way math is taught is drastically different. Kids don't come home with textbooks anymore, so you can refer back to the previous chapters, you know, and kind of help your kids. But what we can do is institute a mindset of hope, that hope mindset, and a mindset of greatness, like Daryl is doing in the life of Sophia. He's her father, and he's surrounding her with a village, with a dream team of, you know, if you're raising your son as a single mother, and make sure that, you know, if you're a father and you're not, you know, you don't live with your children, make sure that you're fully engaged in your children's lives. If you're a mother and father, you still need mentors. Reach out to individuals like me or individuals like Hope, you know, business moguls in the community,
Sorry,
people that
Chandra, can you
message them.
hear me?
Yes,
You can hear me?
yes.
Okay. I'm sorry. I can't hear you too good. I don't know what happened, but maybe it's on my end.
Okay.
Go
Well,
ahead.
I'm just saying it begins with speaking greatness into our children when they're, I'm going, my nephew Jackson, his 4th birthday is today. Being thoughtful about your gifts, being thoughtful about what you say, engaging the lives of your nieces and nephews, at least, and then those kids on the corner in the communities, really embracing, those men and fathers, the mothers, families, really getting back to the village approach. What do we need and how can we support each other, beyond the jealousy, the ego and all of that stuff. Let's humbly come together and really tap into our power base.
Wow. So, okay, let me tell you one thing. I don't know what happened to the sound. I can hardly hear you, but I'm glad everybody else can. So what I'll do is I'll keep moving forward and I'll see whether the sound will come back. But I know you were talking about when I lost the sound, you were talking about raising kings and the imagery of, well, you said it's not really about royalty, but when you were talking about raising kings, I thought to myself, I can't go any farther without saying Wakanda forever. I was like, Wakanda forever. And I remembered, that opening week, or maybe it was the week after, you had that photo shoot and you really celebrated this film and you gave the opportunity for our children to go and see the film for free. It was amazing. And I guess my question to you is, what did that film do for you? What did it do for you? Because you were excited about it.
Well, let me tell you, I was excited about the response to the film.
Okay.
That's what I was excited about. We grew up, and Kareem can attest to this, who's watching right now, my brother. I mentioned I'm one of 8, so I have 7 siblings, and we grew up with a very strong sense of cultural pride. So even our very first Raising Kings conference, we're bringing hip hop. I saw Richard Raw was tuned in earlier. Richard Raw and just K Hockaday and the hip hop culture that kids know. But it was important to me to bring the Universal African Dance and Drum Ensemble and bring that African culture and pride and the beauty and the richness and the power and show kids who we really are, show the community who we really are. And it's always powerful for me, whether I'm watching that performance or I'm traveling throughout our cultures and countries, which we always had the opportunity to do. I mean, our parents were not, rich, but I would say that we had a wealthy, I'll say they weren't wealthy, but we had a rich upbringing. I'll put it like that, because it was culturally rich. We knew of our beauty and our strength. We traveled to Mexico. I mean, drove across country and through, Mexico when we, as kids. So we got to see who we really are. And we were very closely connected to the African culture by way of our family in Philadelphia, Mama Itia Ola and Sahara and, Mama Nia. But what I realized in the response to that film is that we live in a society in America where many people have never, ever seen the power of our culture. And so many people of color, African American people anyway, are really not connected to their African part of their roots. We only know about the slave ships, and that is a tragedy. So when this film hit, Wakanda, became a real place to us. And the sad part about that is that's where we're now all from. That's where we're from, and that's as real as any African roots have ever been to many African Americans who have only ever known their American existence. Wakanda is as real as any place in Africa that they're from or may in their minds will ever know. And it was that's what Africa is. It's not the late night commercials with the little poor kids with the fly sitting on their forehead, and you're like, get the fly off. It's not a people who need Americans to take just 35 cents a day to support. We come from the wealthiest, by far, inarguably, land in the entire universe, and that is Africa. And we don't learn about Africa. We never see it portrayed. In South Africa, technology is booming. The wealth and the riches that are throughout the diaspora that actually the rest of the world is reliant on for our very existence, as for humanity's existence, and for us to be able to thrive. So that's
Wow,
why
wow.
it was important to see people come. And
Thank
it's always great to see a Black superhero, and then someone who's African, and to have that family strength, the colorful culture, the science, the technology, the intellect, to see women in roles of warriors, because women are warriors. We are powerful. The things we can do in a 4-inch heel with a baby strapped to our back and one inside of our bosom. I mean, we are giving birth to humanity. That's who we are. So, no, we don't need a wig, but if I need to use it as a weapon, it comes in handy. If I need to use it to accentuate my face, I can do that too. Like, we're just beauty, personified. So it was
Yeah.
wonderful. That's what I was celebrating through that Wakanda Warrior photo shoot, which was also a
Wow.
highly collaborative effort.
Wow. Thank you so much for that. That's amazing. That movie did something for me.
Yeah, it's powerful. I love it. I
So,
love it.
you've answered actually a lot of the questions that I had within other questions. But I did want to mention that sorry, a key component of building community is leading a meaningful life that is also hopeful. Um, this beautiful cathedral that you all have in the One Village Alliance has, or I should say we have as the One
Yes,
Village
we have.
Alliance
Yes.
in the city is gorgeous, but it's also sitting amidst so many other community issues. And I know that you are involved in Black Lives Matter movement, call for social justice movements. Every time there's a shooting in the city of Wilmington, you're, out there and marching. I want you to just speak about this. Where are your hopes nowadays? Where is your optimism nowadays, knowing that you have this safe refuge, this place that's supposed to cultivate strength for our children in the community and safety for our children in the community, but it's sitting amidst a community that is not the best in terms of safety and security.
That's the community that we call the United States of America. It's
Yeah.
not safe, and there is a lot of advocacy and work that needs to be done. And I really want to honor, and it's, when I thank people, I'm thanking them on behalf of us all. But Grace United Methodist Church reached out to us and said, hey, we want to do more in the community, and we have resources, and you have a reach in the community. Actually, one of the maintenance staff that worked there called me and put the pastor on the phone, and his daughter is involved in Girls Can Do Anything and has been for years. And the pastor was looking for a way to expand the reach in the community. So they reached out to us, and it is literally, Grace United Methodist Church owns an entire city block of Wilmington, Delaware. It's a 4-story state-of-the-art community space
Wow.
that many know of as a church. We think of church as somewhere you can go on Sunday morning for a couple hours, and for far too many churches around the country anyway, this is what church is. These spaces, this bricks and mortar space, should be community spaces. And Pastor Ann and Reverend Joe Archie see it as just that, community spaces. The Methodist, part of the Methodist mission, the United Methodist Mission, is social. It's based in social justice. We're a social justice organization growing into their true greatness through education, entrepreneurship, and art. We, the fact that we came together to form this collaborative and partnership is a huge resource for the community. It gives us a center, a hub, and a safe haven, 24/7 access to do phenomenal programming to the community. And it's really a shame, and the church would agree, and I'm sure any church, as we prepare for Sunday morning service and the resurrection of Jesus Christ, I pray that churches and pastors and trustees are compelled to celebrate and invest in the resurrection of our cities, our communities, the neighborhood blocks that they sit in, with the same enthusiasm, and open those churches up 7 days a week. We have programming until 8, 9 at night, at Grace United Methodist Church. And if it needs to be a haven for youth overnight, there's cots and there's spaces, and Grace United Methodist Church opens itself up to that. So this is not something that happened because I'm part of the membership, and they never asked. They said, they never asked anything of me. They never said, well, we'll let you use our space at this. They came and said, please utilize our space, fill our space. We want to get to the community. And, that was really important. And we have all of the bricks and mortar space that we need in the city, in churches. If churches would just open up and partner with that faith-based, community-based, and then corporate, with companies like WSFS with the corporate responsibility, United Healthcare, funding our work. That's how we really make an impact.
Wow, wow.
We're also in low-income housing communities. There's a center in the heart of every low-income housing community, like Bethel Villa and the housing authorities, Harvest Point Apartments with Ron and John, who have been great partners of ours in South Jersey since the very beginning. They're saying, hey, we not only want to house the community, we not only want to bring in, HUD funding but housing we're taking a more holistic approach to housing, and we want to fund and invest in and provide resources and space to fill bricks and mortar with the building families and children.
Wow. So let me ask, because you're very, very involved in the community, and how do you do it all, Chandra? Every time I wake up, you're somewhere. You're just a mover and a shaker, very high energy, very high capacity. Where do you get the energy and the drive to every single day be out here changing and making a difference in our community?
I just have to say God. My work is God-led. I have a lot of angels. I mean, people that I meet along this journey who I need. They may not even understand how they lend to my very survival when I get positive messages and calls and prayers and people showing up. My volunteer base, our volunteer base, which I'm a part of that volunteer base, is strong. Girls Can Do Anything would not be what it is without individuals like you, Hope, and your wonderful daughter, Jasmine, who has been a big part of our work. And individuals like my sister friends, Liberty Bell and Kamisha Martin with Lola Soul. Our fatherhood initiative would not be what it is without Wade and so many partners who are already doing fatherhood work. They're just willing to bring the power together in the genuine spirit of collaborating for outcomes for our dads. So people, God, energy, people send me messages all the time, and they just don't know how valuable. My personal friends don't understand what their friendship means, but also my mental health, being able to understand my freedom to do this work in a way that it brings truth to light. These things are not just cliche. These are things that our ancestors and elders left us as breadcrumbs to show us the way. Truth is so important. And when you tell the truth and fight for truth and call other people to be
Mhm.
honest, people eliminate themselves from your space. There's people out here who are, living a lie, who are getting in your personal stuff. And that's one thing that can, pull energy. So I immediately, without hesitation, cut those people off. And you have to know when to do that. And it's very rare that one of those people seeps into my life. And you have to learn from that experience and not take hate and anger from it. But then you have so many people who are on the outside who are telling lies that they don't even understand the capacity of their words. Like whenever I spoke in Washington, D.C. over the weekend, I was down there for the March for Our Lives. And you're right, I'm a big part of the Black Lives Matter movement because we have to still say our lives matter. But everything I do is in the true, genuine sentiment of love for all people, love for humanity. Um, and when we talk about things like mass incarceration, and I was down there speaking at a fatherhood summit for the Healthy Start conference, when we talk about things like fatherlessness and the 24 million children growing up without a father in their homes, and we allow these conversations to start with two words, Black male, we're telling a lie. We're not telling the truth. We're focusing on the data that's below the line, and we're not telling the story of how we got here, which is largely a white male story. So it makes
Yeah.
sense that white America would leave that out. So we can't have slide deck after slide deck after slide deck talking about all of these negative data points for Black males that make our people seem all of these things that are not true. We've got to be honest and truthful. And I think that's where I find my power and my passion because it's so needed to come out and tell the truth. When you're doing something not only that you love, that is your life's purpose, that God led you to do, but also that brings light to society every time you open your mouth and say it and do it and act on it. And you're giving people a paradigm shift, not only making them think differently about themselves, but making us feel differently about each other and how we relate to each other as humans, as human beings. It's very powerful, and the work itself is rewarding. Even when it's very difficult, it energizes me because the more difficult it is, the more difficult the advocacy becomes, the more important it is for the survival of our children and our
Wow.
families.
I could listen to you all day. I
It
I
reminds me.
just want to say you inspire me. You inspire all of us in our community. I'm just so glad that you're here, right here in my community, and you're such a gem. You're so precious to me in terms of the work that you're doing, and knowing that our children are in good hands. And I think you already pretty much gave your call to action to the parents in terms of what it is we need to do as parents for our children.
Definitely.
Um, when I attended the Girls Can Do Anything conference, one of the things that was really amazing was how many parents signed up for the parent seminar.
It was
Remember that?
standing
We were
room
like,
only.
what?
Half
What? So we know, I know from just seeing that session that our parents as well need hope. They do. They need support. They need hope. Is that a direction that you're taking One Village Alliance in future, is being a support system for parents or providing programming around parenting? Because I know for me, it blessed me to go and to be in that room and listen to Mr. Andrews talk about purpose, and not just purpose for our children, but purpose for ourselves.
Yes.
So do you have any ideas around that? And I think that would be my final question. Otherwise, I'll keep going and going.
Yeah. So I want to say, you talked about how I'm an inspiration to you. I talked about how you inspire me and that our children are in good hands. But I just want to say our future is in great hands, because our children, like two of those at least, tuned in. I'll say a few because my nieces and nephews are tuned in. So I got to shout them out. But also Imani Henry is a young leader who inspires me so greatly. Sophia Andrews is watching, and I talked about her earlier. But, our children, one of the questions that we got to stop asking our children is, what are you going to be when you grow up? And we got to change it to ask, who are you right now? And how can I support your personal power and your strength right now? Because our children are already at 12, 13, 14, 15, changing the world. And I'm so inspired by these kids. And that's what keeps me going as well, our children. Um, with regard to parenting in the direction of One Village Alliance, One Village Alliance started, our first initiative that we launched based on data statistics that came out of our community here on the east side of Wilmington, was a fatherhood initiative, Suitable Men. And that's the parents. I don't just want to give them hope, but tell you as parents that you are hope. No matter how hopeless the situation that you're in may be, you are the hope for our future. You're the hope for your children who are watching you every single day, no matter how difficult it is. Fathers, reach out, get involved. Mothers like myself, my son all but cut me off when he went to college. I love him. He still loves me, supports me. But we got to stop taking it personally and really build strong, powerful connections with our children, because we are the hope for our children, and our children are the hope for our future. And it's looking very hopeful, but we have a lot of work to do, and we
Yeah.
have to do it together. Whether you're talking about raising kings, girls can do anything. Every one of our there's no more important force in the lives of our girls and our daughters than their father. We are daddy's little girls until the day that we die. I lost my father. It was very difficult, and still is, but our fathers are important. Our mothers are carrying the weight of the world. That's just because as women do in stilettos and look great about it. But our parents, hope for the future. Children, your children are our hope. And it truly takes a whole village. It takes a whole village to raise healthy children, strong families, and thriving communities. And together, only together, we are that village, and we're powerful, and we can change, create the world that we truly want our children to live
Wow, wow. Thank you so much. I mean, I personally am sold, right, on the One Village Alliance model.
in. Thank you.
So anything that you would have me do or contribute to your future programs, the expansion of partnership, working together, Hope Hub, One Village Alliance partnership, we can do it.
Yeah.
So I'm completely open. The people who are watching probably want to know how to get a hold of Miss Chandra Pitts. Where can they find you? Do you have any upcoming events
Yes.
you want to shout out? This is your opportunity.
So please check out our website. I want to speak to Black philanthropy. That's right. The giving and supporting and sustaining our communities. And a lot of times I think we think about Black philanthropy as giving offering and tithes in a church. We have to begin to tithe in our community and see those dollars go directly back. So when you go on our website, and I'm going to give it to you in a moment, I want you to think about philanthropy. The word philanthropy is Greek, and we're not talking about Greek letter organizations. We're talking about for the love of humanity. That's what philanthropy means. And we have got to begin to build a philanthropic base in our local communities that supports our local communities. I'm not making a statement that Black people don't give. We can give all over the world, all over the continent. We're doing things, but not just giving of your treasures, which is your dollars. but your time and your talents. You have time, whether it's 1 hour a week or 1 hour a month. I need you. We need you. Our children need you. We need you to show up. Your voice, your vote, your presence, it all matters. I know for a fact it matters. Don't think that it doesn't. So we need you. We need to build a base of a strong base of Black philanthropy. You know, your taxes, it's just before tax time. You still have time to give a charitable contribution. You know, a tax write-off. You still have time to give up your time, your clothing, you know, whatever it might be. Our Suitable Men program, we provide actual professional attire for men and fathers. I want you to go to our website right now and share it and tell all of your friends to come and come to our fundraising events, which you can learn about on our website. But it's www.iamthevillage.org, iamthevillage.org. I want you to click donate and give, make a $200 pledge, a $2,000 pledge. For 3 years, I've been getting $10 a month from one of our donors, and it makes a difference. She probably doesn't miss it. It makes a difference. She made a pledge 3 years ago of $10 a month. Make your pledge 10, 20, 200, 2,000. And yes, there's all these agencies, United Way, American Red Cross, all of this stuff, but we are supporting your own communities. And then come and turn your dollars into action through your volunteers or your great idea and program model that could have saved you when you were a kid, or that did save you, that you want to bring to scale, or something that you think could really speak to our mothers, our parents, our fathers, our girls, our boys. Come in, support us, help out. So after you click the donate button, or bypass the donate button and go to the contact us page, submit your information and say, I want to volunteer, I want to be a part.
Amen.
Meet and collaborate. So iamthevillage.org. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Chandra G. Pitts. And we'll post that. It's Chandra with a C, of course. There's no other way to spell it. CHANDRA. Thank you, Hope, so much. I'm so honored to be a part of your broadcast.
You're
today.
welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome.
Look forward to talking again.
You're welcome. This was great. Thank you so much, Chandra, for being my beacon of hope. Our beacon of hope on the Hope Hub. And thank you for trusting me with your time and your story and your energy. I really, really appreciate it. I think everybody now knows how to go forward with optimistic hope, and hope that has action behind it. I think you've given us quite a number of ways that people can impact our communities, or the communities they reside in around the world. So thank you so much, Chandra. Have a blessed, wonderful sunshine day. Your sunshine. God bless you.
I've been trying to dim the light.
All right.
I can't. Love you. Thank you, Hope.
Bye-bye. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, everyone, for joining us on the Beacon of Hope show. Every Saturday at 10 a.m., we bring someone who is a beacon of hope in the community, either through their own personal life experience or what it is that they're doing in the world to impact change. I thank you for your time. Share this video, like and follow this page. Invite your friends to like and follow this page as well. And make sure that you check out Ms. Chandra Pitts at One Village Alliance and support her work. Support her work, because it is surely hope for the village. All right. Have a great Saturday. God bless you all. Peace.